I'm Brittany Lewis with Forbes Breaking News. Senator Jerry Moran presses Attorney General Merrick Garland about the, quote, tremendous increase in violent crime at today's Senate Judiciary Committee hearing. The Kansas Republican questions Garland about murder rates that have reached a 50-year high. Garland describes joint law enforcement operations as, quote, the center of our strategy. Let's listen in.
I won't quote you at that. I will say it myself. Senator Moran.
General Garland, thank you. You're aware, and we've talked about even yet this morning, the tremendous increase in levels of violent crime. The murder rate has surged 30% in 2020. It's the largest increase in over 50 years in any single year. But overall violent crime, which includes assaults, robberies, and rapes, increased by 5%. Joint operations between federal law enforcement and local and state law enforcement seem to be successful. We've had Operation Legend and Operation Triple Beam in our state. Director Ray joined me in Kansas earlier this year. We met with our local state law enforcement officials. During that conversation, the Chief Carl Oakman of the Kansas City, Kansas Police Department expressed his desire, first of all, how valuable those joint operations were and his desire to see more of them. And, of course, that's not unique to the Kansas City region of our state. To what extent are joint law enforcement operations a part of the DOJ's plan to combat violent crimes?
Well, they are the center of our strategy. In May of 2021, after I'd been in office just a couple of months, I saw the same statistics that you're referring to now about the rise in violent crime, the startling rise in 2020, which continued into 2021. And so I launched our first violent crime strategy for the department. That really includes 3 pillars, all of which are the ones you're talking about, which is joint task forces among federal law enforcement, joint task forces between federal and the state and local law enforcement, and involvement of the community, because it's essential that the community let us know where the bad guys are and who the bad guys are. So it is the core of what we do. So the money that we're asking for comes in, I would say, 2 buckets here. We're asking for more than $20 billion. That's an increase of 8.2% for our federal law enforcement in the Justice Department, all of whom participate in these task forces. So that includes the U.S. Attorney's offices, the FBI, the ATF, the DEA, the U.S. Marshal Services. Then we're asking for $8.2 billion, which is an increase in $5.48 billion for grants for state and local law enforcement, for the sheriffs you're talking about, for the police you mentioned in your opening as well. This includes money for cops hiring, for the Burn JAG grant that the chair spoke of, which are used for these task forces, for OVW grants, some of which are also used for investigative task forces. That's the way we are able to create these joint task forces. And so I completely agree with your assessment.
General, thank you. You mentioned the U.S. Marshals. I, too, would mention the U.S. Marshals Services Regional Fugitive Task Force as another valuable combination of local and federal law services. Let me turn to the 2021, the DOJ Office of the Inspector General released a report that revealed multiple agents at the FBI had mishandled the investigation into former USA Gymnastics physician Larry Nassar and subsequently lied about their misconduct. I want to take this moment in your presence to again raise my strong concerns with the fact that it seems these agents have not been held fully accountable for what you described as an institutional failure. I understand that DOJ is reviewing its earlier decision. This is an issue that Senator Blumenthal and I pursued in the Commerce Committee, but you are reviewing the decision not to criminally charge these agents. Could you provide me a status update as to where this issue lies?
Yes, so you are right. This is a horrible institutional failure. It's almost unspeakable. It is unspeakable what happened to those gymnasts, and also unspeakable the way in which the investigation failed to proceed. We have created institutional changes in that regard to make sure it doesn't happen again. The FBI has revised its procedures, and the Deputy Attorney General has issued memoranda to the field so that whenever a U.S. Attorney's Office or federal law enforcement decides not to follow up, that they immediately advise state and local law enforcement so that they can continue. Your description of, so the question of the investigation, so the FBI's internal disciplinary work is still in progress. The question of reopening the earlier declination is in the hands of the Assistant Attorney General for the Criminal Division, Kenneth Polite, who is continuing to review the matter.
Does that mean that the FBI made a report to that official who is now reviewing that report?
I think it is the referral came from the Inspector General's report, so it's the report that you are aware of that was given to the Criminal Division to review the earlier decision to decline.
Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Moran. Senator Leahy.
Thank you, Chair. Attorney General, as I mentioned earlier, I'm glad you're here this morning